And they're there. I said, because I'm not.
My wife now works until.
I said, I'm tired of driving.
Ben? Okay.
No, we're on the citations.
There's the whistle.
There it goes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know them, like, you know.
Official, the meeting started.
That's the sign.
All good? Okay. Good, excuse me, good evening. I'd like to call the Borough Council meeting to order. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided as required under Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, specifying the time, date, location, and to the extent known, the agenda by posting a copy of the notice in the municipal building, providing a copy to the Home News, and by filing a copy in the office of the Borough Clerk. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Council President Zambrana.
Here.
Councilman Collins.
Here.
Councilwoman O'Donnell.
Here.
Councilman Peretti.
Here.
Councilman Potter.
Here.
Councilman Revelinsky.
Here.
Mayor Trina Mayor.
Here. All right, so please join me in a moment of silence, followed by a salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so now it is time for the public comment. The public comment portion is limited to resolutions listed on the agenda. If you wish to speak, please step up to the microphone and say your name and address for the record. Seeing none, I will close public comment and move on to the approval of minutes from the October 23rd, 2023 regular meeting. Any comments or corrections?
I'll be abstaining as I wasn't present for that meeting.
Okay. Can I have a motion to accept the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Potter, second by Councilwoman O'Donnell. All in favor?
Aye.
Abstentions?
Aye. Or
Any
abstain.
opposed? Now we're going on to bills. Will the clerk please read Resolution 276, 2023, authorizing bill payment by title only?
Resolution 276, 2023, authorizing the payment of bills, claims, and statements against the Borough of Milltown in the total amount of $2,461,741.98.
You've heard the reading of this resolution. What is your pleasure?
Madam Mayor, I make a motion that this bill list be approved as typed.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Potter, second by Council President Zambrana, that the resolution be adopted. Is there any discussion?
Yes, Madam Mayor. I had a question on page 15. It says Nature's Choice Corporation logs and tree parts. I thought we ground up our stumps.
I think those are the ones that are too large for our machine that gets sent out.
I see.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Council President Zambrana.
Aye.
Councilman Collins.
Aye.
Councilwoman O'Donnell.
Aye.
Councilman Peretti.
Aye.
Councilman Potter.
Aye.
Councilman Revelinsky.
Aye.
Okay, now we'll move on to the consent agenda. A consent resolution has been prepared for the resolutions listed on the agenda. All matters listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine in nature, and having been reviewed by the Borough Council, will be enacted by one motion. Any item may be removed from the consent agenda at the request of any council member, and if so removed, will be treated as a separate matter. Any items requiring expenditure are supported by a certification of funds. If any member of the council wants any resolution acted upon individually, please give me the resolution number, and it would be pulled from the consent resolution.
Yes, I'd like to see 278, 280, 281, 282, 285, and 294.
So 6 in total, right?
Yes.
Yes. Most of them just questions for discussion.
Anybody else?
Oh, could you tell me those numbers again? I got 5. of them.
278, 280, 281, 282, 285, and 294.
Okay, thanks.
Will the clerk please read the consent agenda resolution?
Whereas pursuant to the rules of council, the council may establish a consent agenda for any regular or special meeting upon certain conditions, and whereas the following resolutions to be presented before the Borough Council at its November 13th, 2023 regular meeting appear to have unanimous approval of all members of the Borough Council. 279, 2023, 283, 2023, 284, 2023, 286 through 293, 2023. Now therefore be it resolved by the Borough Council of the Borough of Milltown that each of the above resolutions be approved and adopted by the Borough Council with the same legal effect as though each was read in its entirety at the November 13, 2023 regular meeting and adopted by separate vote.
Excuse me, you've heard the reading of this consent resolution. What is your pleasure?
Madam Mayor, I make a motion that these resolutions be adopted.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Potter, second by Councilman Revelinsky. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Council President Zambrana.
Aye.
Councilman Collins.
Aye.
Councilwoman O'Donnell.
Aye.
Councilman Peretti.
Aye.
Councilman Potter.
Aye.
Councilman Revelinsky.
Aye.
So moved. Will the clerk please read 278, 2023 by title?
Authorizing extending appointment of qualified purchasing agent to December 31st, 2023.
You've heard the reading of this resolution. What is your pleasure?
Make a motion that this resolution be adopted.
I second.
I have a motion by Councilman Peretti, second by Councilwoman O'Donnell. Any discussion?
Yes, just more of a point of clarity. This is through December 31st, 2023, so it does expire on the 31st?
Yes.
And then, did we put out an RFP for this as well, along with other RFPs?
One is going out, I don't know if it was already going out, that's what the next resolution is to authorize.
That's right, I thought so, and that's why I just wanted to check.
Any other discussion?
Yes, I got a question. How much is this going to cost us? Do you have any idea?
We pay,
Or is he working on a percentage?
for the extension, it's 1 month of service, so it's $800 and some odd dollars.
$33.33,
Yeah, $833.
just like we've been paying him all year.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Council President Zambrana.
Aye.
Councilman Collins.
Aye.
Councilwoman O'Donnell.
Aye.
Councilman Peretti.
Aye.
Councilman Potter.
Aye.
Councilman Revelinsky.
Aye.
So moved. Will the clerk please read 280, 2023 by title?
Authorizing the hiring of a police special duty scheduling and processing vendor through the competitive contracting process.
You've heard the reading of this resolution. What is your pleasure?
Make a motion that this resolution be adopted.
I second.
We have a motion by Councilman Peretti, second by Councilwoman O'Donnell. Any discussion?
Yeah, I have a couple questions about this one. Haven't we been utilizing a special services contractor for this?
Yes, but
And-
you have to renew it, so we have to go through the process again.
And we've been using that since when, April last year?
Since this year. So,
April.
yeah.
So it's only a 3-month term?
No, it's gonna be an annual one, but this is on the recommendation of the QPA that we go out, again for this.
And how much does that wind up costing the borough?
So we pay a percentage, they take a percentage of the administrative, a percentage of the collections. So, the way that the special duty pay works is that we charge an administrative fee and a vehicle fee. and they'll get a portion of that.
What's
So
that portion?
whatever it's bid at. So at this, I think this year, I think it's 8 or 10%. We had increased our administrative fee several years ago to allow for this, because it was increased to 18%. The thought is that, you know, they're gonna take a portion of that, but it really hasn't cost the borough any additional money, because the percentage that we would have gotten before amounts to about the same amount of money. And now somebody else does the billing and the scheduling.
But it's lost revenue, and the officers still have to report through with that company for the scheduling.
It's not, well, it's lost revenue, but it isn't, because we increased the administrative fee to cover the cost of this service. So had we not ever entered into the service, we probably would have never adjusted the administrative fee.
But now that the administrative fee is higher, we don't have to have the service. We could generate that revenue ourselves.
Sure.
So I'd like to make a motion that this one be denied, if I need to make a motion to that, because I think this
No,
is,
it's, well, yeah, there's
this is
already a
lost
motion on the table
revenue.
to approve it.
And if we go out with the QPA, do we have to award it?
No.
And is there an additional fee from the QPA in order to do this?
No.
Or is it just part of that monthly
It's
fee?
part of the job, yeah.
Any other discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Council President Zambrana.
Aye.
Councilman Collins.
No.
Councilwoman O'Donnell.
Aye.
Councilman Peretti.
Aye.
Councilman Potter.
Aye.
Councilman Revelinsky.
No.
So moved. Will the clerk please read Resolution 281, 2023 by title?
Authorizing the hiring of a computer IT consultant vendor through the competitive contracting process.
You've heard the reading of this resolution. What is your pleasure?
Madam Mayor, I make a motion this resolution be adopted.
Second?
I have a motion by Councilman Potter, second by Councilwoman O'Donnell. Any discussion?
This one says for a contract up to 5 years. Most of our consultants are 1 year for RFPs, so I'm
Well,
wondering why we
this
go out
isn't
5
an
years.
RFP. So what happens is you go out to competitive contract, and then there's renewals within the contract. You don't have to renew it, so it's a 1-year contract that can be renewed several times, and you don't have to renew it. So you're not bound by it.
Anyone else?
Just, it sounds a little confusing. It says IT consultant services. It doesn't name the vendor. Is there a reason for that?
Because we need to go out to bid for a vendor.
I see. Okay.
Anyone else? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Council President Zambrana.
Aye.
Councilman Collins.
Aye.
Councilwoman O'Donnell.
Aye.
Councilman Peretti.
Aye.
Councilman Potter.
Aye.
Councilman Revelinsky.
Aye.
Will the clerk please read Resolution 282, 2023 by title?
Authorizing the Borough of Milltown to join and participate in the Sourcewell National Cooperative.
You've heard the reading of this resolution. What is your pleasure?
I make a motion that we pass this resolution.
Second.
A motion by Councilwoman O'Donnell, second by Councilman Potter. Any discussion?
Yeah, I was curious, Sourcewell, is that who we've used in the past?
Yes.
It is the same, that's, I thought it was, but I've never noticed before this Minnesota statute that's listed here, 123A.21. I just wondered, so they're a company based out of Minnesota?
Well, it's a national co-op where, so, yeah, so they cover the whole country. So certain pieces of equipment and things that aren't local or state will come through this co-op. And so we don't have the resolution that authorized our membership before, so we're just closing up loose ends.
Do we have any specific items that we intend to obtain through Sourcewell, or can you give me an idea of some of the items?
I don't know off the top of my head. There was something we were purchasing that we didn't have the
What was this for? Do you remember?
DPW for some type of equipment, some type of vacuum equipment.
Oh, the Mad Vac.
Mad Vac, thank you. That's through DPW. So even though we are in the national co-op, it will still have to be advertised with an intent to award the contract. But this is just having us join the co-op, and that gives us better pricing on certain things because we're part of a national co-op.
Possibly better pricing, right?
No, it generally is, because the bigger the co-op, the better the pricing you get. It's like when you go to Costco and get wholesale stuff, you usually get a better price.
I just recently came across something at the schools with my child's computer and was pretty taken back by the fact that it costs $150 to repair a keyboard. For a computer, they pay $300, which I can go to the store and buy for $150. So it just raised the question on, these co-ops, are we really saving money? But we'll be able to reserve the right to go and purchase outside of the co-op if we select to.
Yeah, you don't have to go through the co-op, it's just this is just doing the membership and joining and being able to participate if we choose to.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Council President Zambrana.
Aye.
Councilman Collins.
Aye.
Councilwoman O'Donnell.
Aye.
Councilman Peretti.
Aye.
Councilman Potter.
Aye.
Councilman Revelinsky.
All right.
So moved. Will the clerk please read Resolution 285, 2023 by title?
Authorizing promotion, public safety, chief of police.
You've heard the reading of this resolution. What is your pleasure?
Madam Mayor, I make a motion that this resolution be adopted.
I second.
I have a motion by Councilman Potter, second by Councilwoman O'Donnell. Any discussion?
Yes, I just noticed that on this particular resolution, the salary is not indicated, whereas for the others in public safety that we have in front of us this evening or recently passed, the salaries were indicated. So I wasn't sure if that was by accident or is that left to negotiation?
That's a negotiation. The other officers are covered under the PBA contract.
Any other discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Council President Zambrana.
Aye.
Councilman Collins.
Aye.
Councilwoman O'Donnell.
Aye.
Councilman Peretti.
Aye.
Councilman Potter.
Aye.
Councilman Revelinsky.
Aye.
So moved. And finally, will the clerk please read Resolution 294, 2023 by title?
Authorizing waiver and refund of fees, Diane Sores, Albert Avenue Park.
You've heard the reading of this resolution. What is your pleasure?
Madam Mayor, I make a motion this resolution be adopted.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Potter, second by Council President Zambrana. Any discussion?
Yeah, I was just curious, I noticed that we're refunding the fees, but I did get a question whether or not they were still going to hold the event. Does anyone know about that?
The only thing I can speak to, the reason that it's on here is I got a call last week from a woman who had reserved the park. The Seraces did a memorial to their daughter who passed around Thanksgiving, and I believe this is the 10th anniversary, and they have moved out of town, and the resident asked if they could use Albert Avenue Park as part of a memorial, and since the Seraces, lived right there, they used to do it at their house, and they wanted to do it at Albert. So if they're still gonna have it, the fees are waived. If not, I haven't heard an update that it's not. It is? Okay, good. So that, it's basically just to waive the park fee.
Yep.
Any other discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Council President Zambrana.
Aye.
Councilman Collins.
Aye.
Councilwoman O'Donnell.
Aye.
Councilman Peretti.
Aye.
Councilman Potter.
Aye.
Councilman Revelinsky.
All right.
So moved. All right, now we will move on to reports from officials. We'll start with Councilwoman Margaret O'Donnell.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have several reports tonight. I'll begin with the police report. This comes from Chief Brian Kennelly. Between October 4th and November 7th, 2023, police responded to 1,233 calls for service. During this period, police conducted 123 radar details in numerous locations. Police made 339 motor vehicle stops, and police investigated 26 motor vehicle accidents. 4 arrests were made, which included active warrants, shoplifting, resisting arrest, theft, and receiving stolen property. I'd like to share a commendation. We would like to commend the quick actions of 2 Milltown police officers who were able to identify and arrest a local adult male resident who was accused of theft from Maria's Pizza restaurant. On October 29, 2023, Patrolman Michael McCabe and Nicholas Espinosa were dispatched to Maria's Pizza for the report that a man had stolen a charity donation box containing cash from the counter. Within 45 minutes, the officers were able to identify a suspect and close the case with an arrest. The money was later returned to the business. I have a notice as well. PSE&G work should be completed within the next 2 weeks. Yay! I expected a collective yay from the whole room. Please continue to use extra caution as detours will pass through residential neighborhoods. Residents are reminded to drive with caution and watch for crossing pedestrians. School is in session and pedestrian traffic has increased. Let's continue to do our part to keep our roads safe by obeying our local speed limits and traffic laws. This is a message for solicitors. The Borough of Milltown currently has no active solicitor permits issued to anyone. Not one person was approved for a solicitor permit in 2023. Individual companies cannot get solicitor permits. They are issued to individuals who apply, pay a fee, and go through a background check. A Borough of Milltown solicitor permit is approved by the borough and issued by the police department. The permit will have the Borough of Milltown seal, the person's name, the company they work for, the date of issue, and the date of expiration. If you observe any persons knocking on doors to solicit work, please contact the Milltown Police Department. The Milltown Police Department is in need of school crossing guards. Applications can be found on the borough website. For more information about the position, please contact Lieutenant Chris Johnson at cjohnson@milltownpd.org. Please continue to report suspicious activity, traffic concerns, and non-emergent type calls to 732-828-1100. Emergency and life-threatening calls, use 911. Any concerns and/or complaints can be submitted by using the official borough website or by calling Milltown Police directly. My addition to that report is to congratulate our police personnel who received promotions with the passing of tonight's consent agenda. We wish you continued success in your new roles. From the Milltown Fire Department. This month, there were 3 drills, 1 meeting, 20 fire calls, 4 special assignments, and 5 work details for a total of 33 incidents this month. 272 incidents year-to-date, and 3,820.7 man-hours to date. The type of fire calls included activated CO detectors, an open fire pit burn, an activated fire alarm, a gas leak, a motor vehicle accident, a brush fire, a rollover vehicle, an issue with a gas meter, smoke condition, odor of gas, further assist to EMS, and a truck fire. The work details included equipment checks. The drills included a cold smoke search, vehicle fires, and equipment cleanup. And the special assignments included the collectibles show at the American Legion, 2 fire prevention events at Good Day, and the trunk or treat at Gloria Bradford Park. In terms of training, members attended the Middlesex County Fire Academy and trained on motor vehicle fires this month. Preventative maintenance is completed, but they are waiting on parts for some repairs. 4 SCBAs have been out for repair of their electronic parts. And every meeting, members are needed. Candidates interested in joining the Milltown Fire Department are encouraged to stop by the firehouse Monday nights at 6:30, or to email joinmilltownfire@gmail.com. Do we thank Chief Ray Jolly for that report? And from the Milltown Rescue Squad. For the month of October, there were 134 calls, 74 in Milltown, 26 on the Turnpike, and 34 in the form of mutual aid. The Rescue Squad is proud to announce that 3 members have successfully completed their EMT training and are now fully licensed. And thank you to everyone who participated in the Amazon wish list equipment drive, because they were absolutely overwhelmed with the outpouring of support. This month, they will be welcoming troops of Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts for tours and demonstrations of equipment. There's a thank you here to the borough for the donation at last month's meeting of a surplus vehicle to be used in training. If anyone has billing questions, they should contact Cornerstone, the billing company. Their number is 877-214-6018. They can also be accessed by, their website can be accessed by going to the Rescue Squad's website, which is milltownrescuesquad.org. Do not call the Milltown Police with billing or recruitment questions. And the Rescue Squad will begin accepting applications for the winter onboarding process. And anyone who's interested in learning about joining the Rescue Squad or becoming an EMT should email recruitment@milltownrescuesquad.org to learn more. Applications for the January 2024 season need to be submitted by December 10th, and they're happy to answer any questions. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Busy month. Thanks to all the first responders.
Indeed.
Next, we will have a report from Councilman Rich Rivlin.
I think Councilman Potter's up.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. I see what happens when I take my glasses off. Sorry, Councilman. Well, I was giving you a little chance to rest after.
That's okay.
Go
That's all
ahead,
right.
Councilman Dave Bott.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. From the Milltown Electric Utility Department, from John Eckert. Line clearance was performed on Harkins, Bruce, and South Mowat and Cherry Hill. This is crucial work as tree interference accounts for a majority of the outages. Linemen responded to over 25 calls for broken streetlights, 15 lights were repaired, and 10 were replaced with energy-efficient LED fixtures. 2 new poles were installed on Albert Avenue and Harrison Avenue to replace poles with rotting issues. Pole transfers will be performed in November. 2 broken electric meters were replaced. Electric services were repaired at several locations. Service drops were replaced in 2 locations. A temporary construction service was connected on Highland Drive. An underground service was completed on JFK Drive for a new home. Abandoned telco and cable wires were removed from several poles. Department members responded to several calls of downed wires. Bucket truck number 9 has been returned to service. A segment of primary wire was replaced on Chestnut Street to accommodate an insulation hose so that improvements could be made to a home on Van Loo Avenue. In addition, the fuse cutout and lightning arrestor associated with this segment was replaced with modern materials. The borough's 4 diesel generators were inspected and tested by the utility department members, and various power outage problems were evaluated throughout the borough, and the utility department worked with the billing department to troubleshoot billing disputes throughout the month. Madam Mayor, my second report is from the Water Utility Department, submitted by Don Herman. PSE&G continues to work throughout the town, which require markouts, and just to echo Councilwoman O'Donnell's in her report, we did hear from PSE&G. If all goes well, they should be done by the end of this week, as they gave us the 20th is the due date.
Good.
So we're closely monitoring that, but I know everybody will be happy about that. Monitoring of the pump stations occur on a regular schedule. Church Street Pump Station, Pump 2A, is being repaired. The water main relining and replacement program on Highland Drive is ongoing. The pipes on Upper Highland, Oak, and East Lawrence have been relined, and all lines are in service, and homes are all reconnected, and we do look forward to hearing from CME's report on that progress. Repaired a water main break on Durst Drive. Hydrant flushing is scheduled to begin in November. Dates and times will be posted on Channel 15 and the electronic billboard and on Nixle. And if anyone isn't signed up to receive Nixle, notices through Nixle, please go to nixle.com to register. Finally, with Thanksgiving approaching, please do not dump any cooking grease down your sink, even if you're using hot water, because it can clog your pipes as well as your neighbor's pipes. All grease should be put in the garbage. And regarding the planning board, the last planning board meeting was on November 1st, and the next meeting is scheduled for December 6th. And that concludes my report.
Great, thank you. Now we go to Councilman Reckler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm going to start off with a report from the library. Happy to announce that Wednesday, November 15th, Drop-In Craft at 11 a.m. for children. They are celebrating dinosaurs this month, so if you hear some roars on your way up, don't get scared. Saturday, November 18th at 11 a.m., the Audubon Seed Craft will be making its way. Seed balls and bird feeders, which my son will certainly be excited about, is open to students in grades 2 through 6, and registration is required. On the same day, Saturday, November 18th, at 12:30 p.m., it'll be Read to a Pooch. Your child can spend time with a sweet, certified therapy dog. Monday, November 20th at 3:15 p.m., Tween Craft, and this month they'll be making candy corn tea lights. Flameless, of course, flameless holders. So, adult yoga on Tuesday, November 21st at 9:15 a.m., Saturday, November 25th at 11 a.m., come hang out with your friends, watch a movie, and make some delicious festival candy craft. That is open to students grades 4 through 8. On that day as well, Saturday, November 25th at 12 p.m., crocheting for beginners, for teens and adults. Monday, November 27th at 6:30 p.m., make your favorite cookie or buy your favorite cookie. Bring them and join us for Cookie Exchange Bingo. It sounds tasty. The library will be closed on Thursday, November 23rd and Friday, November 24th, and reopen on Saturday, the 25th at 10 a.m. Please be sure to visit the Milltown Library website and check out their Facebook page, and they wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. And for the DPW report for the month of October, DPW crews continue to keep low-hanging and dead branches trimmed. Annual Clean Communities Grant report has been submitted. Street sweeping has taken place and is ongoing to meet DEP regulations. Catch basin and outfall pipe cleanouts has taken place to meet the DEP stormwater regs. DPW is busy preparing the path for the Haunted River Walk by clearing low-hanging branches as well as cleaning up leaf litter and debris. Soccer field has been painted and prepped for the last day of soccer recreation. And equipment has been put into storage for the season. Road repairs were made on First, Colthal, Janet, and Vanderbilt. Leaf cleanup on public property and parks has begun and continues to be ongoing. The pool slide has been covered for the winter, and the staff continue to stay on top of any potholes, so if you see some, please don't hesitate to report a concern. Leaf bags are available to pick up at the DPW building on Washington Avenue. They can be picked up Monday through Friday, 8 to 3, and on Saturdays in November from 8 a.m. to noon. The annual Paper Shred event was a huge success, with Milltown residents bringing in over 6,600 pounds of paper. And we look forward to scheduling another Shred Day next year. Trees were removed on Janet Court, John Street, and along Mill Pond Park and on South Wilson. A swing and chains were repaired at Albert Avenue Park, and the DPW staff participated in the annual Trunk or Treat, handing out candy with recycled themed coloring books and pencils. The next recycling dates, please note, are November 16th, which is this Thursday, and November 30th, perfect for after Thanksgiving. I would like to also add that we had a DPW meeting about 2, maybe 3 weeks ago now. I was away on work, so I didn't get to report at the last meeting, but very good discussion. We talked about several different topics in town, updating a tree list for availability to view for the residents so they can see where their permit request is in the log. Some issues over at Borough Park to address for the future. column replacements at the gazebos for Albert Avenue Park. PO was issued, and we're just waiting to find out when that work will happen. And then we discussed the bike path project over at Albert Avenue Park and some additions to that, which may include some additional benches, different paving areas, and possibly fixing some of the backstops with add and deduct items. Mike or Lou this evening, we'll be talking and reaching out to you shortly on those items as well. Other than that, I'm going to zip it up and pass it along. That concludes my report.
Thank you. And next, we'll move on to Councilman John Collins.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The Environmental Commission meeting of October 25th, 2023, I had a couple questions, Peter, on the Green Acres funding. What would we have to do to get Green Acres funding for Christopher Street?
I'm gonna need more information than that, so what is it we're trying to do, and
Yeah, the town owns the street, so could we make that a Green Acres area?
the town owns the street, the town,
Right.
it's a street, it was a street dedication, so you can vacate it, or you can, if you wanted to acquire it and utilize, I guess, a buyback somehow from the owners, it would revert to if you vacated the street, you could pursue it, but, I mean,
Did we vacate Christopher Street?
no, but if you don't vacate Christopher Street, it's a street, so I don't know that you have the ability to unilaterally decide a dedicated street is gonna be a park. So that would be something you'd need to look into.
Are we obligated to make it a street?
Obviously not.
So we could do nothing and keep it green?
That's probably what it's been, yeah, so. I just need to know more from Councilman Collins as to what exactly they want looked into.
So just to advise everybody, this is currently going in front of the planning board. So we do have our planner here tonight. But anyway, I don't know if we can talk much about it since it's an ongoing, it's right now sitting in front of the planning board. So I don't know if we can talk about it
Then I
until the
would
planning board.
suggest if Christopher Street is part of a plan that's pending before the planning board, that we don't talk about it.
That's exactly what my point is, yeah.
Fair enough.
Certainly, Councilman Collins, we can talk about it offline.
Thanks, Peter.
You got it.
The Environmental Commission website is up and running. Work is continuing on the Schwindman property. Lawrence Brook Watershed meeting, Lawrence Brook Watershed Partnership Stormwater meeting is tomorrow, Tuesday, November 21st at 7 p.m. I believe it's at the Senior Center. I believe the bike run that was scheduled for October 29th got canceled. And I was looking on the Board of Education website, and I see that they have a short program on how to talk to your children about conflict and war. And the next Board of Education meeting is Monday, November 20th at 7 p.m. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Next is Councilman James Gray.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. For recreation, the youth fall soccer, tennis, flag football, and multi-sport seasons have all come to an end, and we've had a very successful season. We look forward to seeing everyone in the spring. Late fall soccer clinics are scheduled to begin on Thursday, November 16th at Parkview. There is still time to register on Community Pass. Adult yoga, men's basketball, and women's volleyball winter registration will be opening in the next couple weeks. Keep an eye out on Community Pass for those registrations. Youth basketball registration has opened, and the registration deadline is December 29th. The program will begin on January 20th, and as always, we welcome volunteer coaches. Our annual tree lighting ceremony will be on Friday, December 1st. Festivities will begin at 6:30 p.m., and Santa plans to arrive on the fire truck at 7 p.m. Please be sure to visit our recreation webpage at milltownnj.org/recreation to familiarize yourself with upcoming programs and new activities along with our park locations. To register for any of our open programs, you can go to the Milltown Recreation page on the Milltown website and click the link for Community Pass. Please help us continue to make Milltown Recreation a community in motion. And that concludes the recreation report. The Rec Advisory Committee will be meeting on this coming Wednesday for its first meeting with the new Director Kelly Boyd. So we look forward to that meeting. And the Revitalization Committee met last month to have a recap debrief of Milltown Day. reported on that last meeting. We have our meeting tomorrow for November to have a few additional tidy-up items for the Milltown Day feedback, as well as starting to look forward to our early 2024 calendar project. So looking forward to that. And as always, a plug, because we're getting towards the end of the year, if anyone is interested in joining those two committees, but as well as many of our other committees that are resident participated, please go to the Milltown website and fill out a citizen leadership application. And that concludes my reports.
Great. I actually saw Bunny out cleaning out the planters, and so again, thank you so much, Bunny, for all your effort on that. I believe Council President Zambrana helped with that, is that correct?
Oh, yeah.
Right, so to make sure that they're ready for next year, but she has really gone above and beyond with taking care of those planters, so thanks
And if
again.
you're interested in helping her,
Yeah,
fill out a citizen leadership
Exactly.
application.
As my mother used to say, many hands make light work, so join the fun, make Main Street pretty. And next we have Council President Phil Zambrana.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I do not have a finance report tonight. The next Ford Avenue Redevelopment Agency meeting will be on the 21st. I don't know how I forgot to say this last time, our Executive Director, Rich Rydstrom, is retiring after 20 years as the Executive Director of the Ford Avenue Redevelopment Agency. Mr. Rydstrom will be transitioning through the end of the year, and a search is on for a new Executive Director who will be ready to go at the beginning of the year. And then I have my senior center report. So there's always a lot of activities going on at the senior center, and these activities include aerobics, line dancing, chair yoga, billiards, walk aerobics, men's club, chorus Spanish, arts and crafts, bingo, sweating with the oldies, and a monthly visit from the VNA nurse. Just so everyone understands, there is no cost for any Milltown resident to see the VNA nurse. The Senior Center also offers the opportunity to join the Milltown Senior Citizens Club, $10 per year for those 55 plus. For more information, you can contact Bob Skarzinski at 732-296-1159. You don't have to join the Senior Citizens Club to participate in any of the activities that the Office on Aging programs and activities offers. So the following is a list of upcoming activities still to come in the month of November. The VNA nurse will be at the Senior Center on Tuesday, November 21st from 12 to 3. On on Monday, November 20th, there will be a movie time at 12:30 p.m. Come in, grab some popcorn, and join the group. And just a reminder that the Senior Center will be closed on Thursday, November 23rd, and Friday, November 24th for Thanksgiving. Always, as an additional reminder, the Senior Center bus is always available for anyone that needs to get to and from medical appointments. All you need to do is contact Debbie Cuddy at 732-296-0681 to schedule any appointments. And then the following is a short list of bus trips still to come in the month of November. 14th, there will be a bus trip to Boscov's. The Senior Center bus will be leaving at 9:30. On the 20th, Monday, there will be a bus trip to Amazing Savings in ShopRite, and the bus will leave the Senior Center at 9:30 a.m. And on Tuesday, the 21st, there will be a bus trip to Delicious Orchards. The bus will leave the Senior Center at 9:30 a.m. As always, with all trips and presentations, there's a sign-up sheet on the bulletin board at the Senior Center. You can either sign up there, call Debbie, 732-296-0681, or register via email at dcuddy@milltownborough.com. And as always, additional Senior Center details and updates can always be viewed by accessing the borough website at milltownnj.org and navigating to the Senior Center website. And Madam Mayor, that concludes my report.
Thank you. Next is our Borough Administrator, Ms. Larison, any report?
No report tonight.
And our Borough Attorney, Mr. Vignolo, any report?
Just a quick comment. I know you all have a lot of faith in me, but if you do have something you want to know, if you want to reach out to me in advance of a meeting, sometimes it'll make me a little better capable of giving you the information during the meeting. So just a thought, an option for you guys so that I don't have to tell you to wait a meeting.
Thank you. And next, our Borough Engineer, Mr. Pluskanka.
Yeah, thank you, Madam
Good
Mayor. Just one item to report tonight on the water project. We're pleased to report that all the water system-related improvements are now complete. That leaves the restoration work, including the road restoration, and we're working out those details with the contractor. And that concludes my report, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
Lou, on budget? Are we
On budget.
Excellent, thank you.
So, Lou, I'll read this because I got a note, that we're glad that the borough has received a municipal aid grant in the amount of $496,620 for the continuation of improvements to Foch Avenue. The grant generally includes improvements to the pavement, storm drainage system, curb and sidewalk where necessary, handicapped ramps, restoration, and other work. So I'm sure you...
That's correct.
see
They
that.
announced them. There seems like there wasn't a lot of announcement to the towns, but the list was released by the DOT, and the borough was successful in receiving that grant.
Yeah, that's great. So that's going to be the next phase of Foch, and that's enough to complete it?
That's correct. And as part of that application, East Foch was included also. So if there's an ample funds,
Good,
we can finish up West Foch and maybe use the rest on East Foch.
great, great.
That's great.
And then what was interesting was that they had the list for the entire Middlesex County. So there's 22 townships in Middlesex County. What I thought was interesting was, the amount that Milltown got was higher than about 10 or 11. So that's a great amount that we got to finish up this project. So
That's correct.
we're happy about that. Thanks. Thanks to everybody that put it together and, continues the work to get, that's been needed for quite a while. And now it comes to me. So first I want to give a shout out to our borough clerk. She has only been here a couple of months, but she had a yeoman's job to get everything ready for the election. So I thank Monica Orlando and Kathy Beardsley for doing a fantastic job and much appreciated. So thank you for that. I've heard mention of Thanksgiving. This is our last meeting until Thanksgiving, so I want to wish you all a happy Thanksgiving and healthy, and enjoy your time with the family. We all certainly have a lot to be thankful for here in the borough, so I hope you have a wonderful holiday. We had a lot of fun things going on in October. We have a lot of fun things coming up in December for the winter holidays, so we have lots to look forward to. So now we will move on to, an ordinance of public hearing and adoption. Next, the following ordinance have been published according to law, and copies have been made available to the public prior to this meeting. Will the clerk please read ordinance 23-1528 by title only?
An ordinance approving the redevelopment plan entitled South Main Street Rehabilitation Plan.
Okay, I will now open the public hearing for ordinance 23-1528. If anyone in the audience has anything they wish to say about this ordinance, please step to the microphone and give your name and address for the record. Seeing none? Oh, yes, sir.
Hi, Randy Ruth, 88 Clay Street. I'm partially up here because I'm surprised nobody else had any other comments about this, because this is kind of the last call. And I recall that the last time this came before the council, there were some no votes, and I strongly disagree with that. I think that the council, as it currently stands, really put together something really comprehensive, and they were able to go through the planning board and community outreach, and I commend you all. So for those voting no, I think that if you choose to vote no, you should explain yourself, or not. It's up to you, obviously. But I think it's a really important thing, so thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, I will close audience comments and ask the council for a motion and a second to approve.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Potter, second by Council President Zambrana. Will the clerk please call the roll?
No
Ca-
discussion?
Oh, sorry. Any discussion?
Yes.
And we have our borough planner here, if anyone wants to.
Yes, so I'm going to direct this one over to the borough planner then. My concern with the redevelopment plan, and I will echo Mr. Ruth's comments in regards to the work that was put forth, and I think the the endeavor is valuable. However, I do have some concerns with the property directly across Colthau on Main Street, which I believe, in review of the plan, is the only approved four-story structure. And I'm wondering about the justification for that.
Sure. So in putting together the plan, that property is obviously the largest vacant piece of land along South Main Street and one of the larger vacant pieces of land in town. So the challenge with redeveloping that site is that, as everyone's aware, the back end of it slopes down in the wooded area down toward Christopher Street that Councilman Collins brought up earlier. So part of the justification for trying to increase the height for that property in particular is the trade-off of we want to prevent the encroachment of development into the sloped areas and into that wooded portion of Christopher Street. So for those properties, we essentially allow a property owner there to take the developable density, if you will, the amount of land that they have that's in the wooded area, apply the density, the number of units they'd be allowed to build within a smaller footprint. And in order to do that, you have to go up a little bit. So the fourth story is really the kind of planning mechanism to offset the preservation of the back end of the property. And so the goal would be, if it's developed based on the standards of this plan, that you would have a three-story building with a stepped back fourth-story portion that would get you somewhere in the neighborhood of, based on the density, 50 or so, 45, 50 residential units. But as part of that deal, essentially, the remainder of the wooded and sloped areas would be protected and not developed. So that's what the plan is called for. That's the justification for that extra height. We understood during the whole process and working through the public process and working through the process with the planning board that there was definitely concern about going to 4 stories. And that's understandable because in town, there's not a lot of, really the mill structure is really the only thing at this point that's that tall. So, as I said, there's this balancing act and trade-off that we have to make at sometimes in land use, certainly. And I felt, from my professional perspective, and then vetting it through the planning board, ultimately the board agreed that that trade-off was acceptable, to have that extra, smaller fourth story as part of a potential plan in exchange for trying to offset the potential development along the Christopher Street area.
Would we be obligated to approve a development along the Christopher Street area into the wooded section, if not for this plan?
Well, if somebody wanted to pay to extend Christopher Street, it's my understanding that they could do that. Obviously, there's other legal considerations we may need to vet, but the way I understand it is that if a property owner wants to improve a mapped public street, they can do so. So obviously, there would be a cost involved with that, and it may be more than one property owner wants to bear. I don't know, ultimately whether it's worth it in dollars and cents, but that street is mapped on the tax map and remains available to open.
And if a street is vacated, I'll go back to the question earlier, if a street is vacated, it's my understanding that from the center line of that street, half is given to one property owner and half to the other.
Not necessarily.
Adjacent property, no?
The property reverts to the property from which it was created. Typically, it's an interior street and half's gonna go to either side, but if it was a boundary street at the end of a parcel, it could all go to one piece. So
And
it
do we know-
essentially reverts back to where it came from.
And do we know where from that Christopher Street property came from?
Not off the top of anyone's head without pulling the subdivision. We could probably find out, it's just not something that, again, this would be one of those, a little heads up is helpful, because it's not something that I think anybody has historic knowledge of.
Did anyone research it prior to developing this plan?
I didn't take into account the title history of it. I know that the subdivision goes back to, I believe, the 1920s. You can see the records on the county's county registrar. But I don't know who has the rights to the area underneath it.
Hey, John, just one question. There is more than one property owner along those boundaries, right?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
I had a question. How many units, if we put 3 floors in for rentals versus 4 floors, how many more units are going to be on the 4th floor?
So the number of units is calculated based, it's units per acre. The plan permits 15 units per acre, which is consistent with the borough's various affordable housing overlay zones. That's where that number came from. So basically to treat it as if it had been placed into one of the overlay zones in the past when those were developed. So the total area of the property times 15 units per acre is the determination of how many units you can get in on the site. There's obviously other factors that would come into play as well. The ability to provide parking, which is a factor of both land and if you build it in a building cost. So the difference, the short answer to your question, the difference between 3 stories and 4 stories is not necessarily saying we're going to have 8 more units or 10 more units. It may be we have larger units instead of a bunch of studio apartments. And we have the same number of units, but they're distributed differently or they're sized differently if the building is a little larger.
So we could have more children going into the schools if we approve this, right?
Well, it depends on if it gets built, and it depends on the nature of the units that get built. If it's mostly 1 and 2 bedroom units, you wouldn't see a whole lot of school children. Market rate 1 and 2 bedroom units generate virtually no children. There's been any number of studies over the years, including some that were recently updated. Affordable units do tend to generate a few more children, but you know, that's part of the township's constitutional obligation, borough's constitutional obligation to provide affordable housing. So, you know, if any development that happens, you may generate more residents, you may generate more children, you may generate more families, but different types of development do have different impacts.
John, can you just educate the council what you meant by setback on the, for the 4th stories? I know on the planning board you defined it. Can you define it for the council as well, so they're aware?
Sure, so basically, let me look at the exact number so I don't. So the fourth story has to be, the front of it has to be stepped back at least 10 feet from the facade. So if you're standing at the sidewalk or even in the street and looking at the building, it would look like a 3-story building because it would be set back. After you get further away, you would be able to see the 4th story. But and then also the 4th story can't be more than 60% of the area of the 3rd story. So it would be a little more than half, but not significantly so. And you know, depending on how the building's designed, it may make the most sense as part of a duplex kind of units where you have a unit that's on the 3rd floor and on the 4th floor with a balcony area or something, more of a, really like the high-end kind of penthouse units in the building rather than using it for just a smaller set of units on the floor. That comes down to how buildings are designed and efficiency and economies of scale and things like that, but we do see some designs like that in the market today.
Thank you, John.
You're welcome.
And John, I recall from, even though it was, back in the spring, that many of the residents of, especially Nicholas Court, were really concerned about development encroaching on that steeply sloped area because of runoff and things like that. And this was really in response to some of those resident concerns to address that steep slope and some potential runoff versus just providing a high 4-story building for no reason at all.
Yeah, well said. And I think it's obvious that there's concern on a lot of fronts about Christopher Street and its potential development. And this was an attempt to be sensitive to that and try our best to provide a development opportunity that allows that to be preserved.
Thank you for reconfirming my memory of that.
But aren't there limitations on building on such steep slopes as it is? And clearing vegetation or growth, such as trees that will retain the soils back naturally?
There are some limitations in the borough's ordinance, yes.
So that wouldn't be much of a concern to begin with, building on that slope?
Actually, it was a big concern of the residents who
Well,
came to the.
I understand that of the residents. I mean in regards to, we already have ways to mitigate development on that slope in place.
Could you jump in with your little?
Existing borough ordinances.
Could you jump in here with the steep slope,
Yeah, so there's a definition of a steep slope. I don't know if anybody's analyzed to see if that whole area falls into that definition. So I think what John's saying is this will provide protections for that whole area, even if it doesn't meet that definition.
Yeah, and the current standard in the ordinance is, I believe, is 20% slopes you're prohibited from disturbing a slope of 20% or greater. The plan includes additional language about slopes in excess of 15% and limitation on tree removal in those areas. So it does take it an extra step from what's in the regular ordinance now. But as Mr. Polskankas said, some of the language in here talks about, when I was talking about taking the density from those backlot and moving it up, basically saying if you do that, you have to combine everything into one lot and there's no disturbance in those areas that you've brought forward. So it's a combination of the steep slope controls plus essentially this transfer of development potential from one area to the other.
A 20% slope, just for some folks who might not be in the field, that would be a 20-foot drop over 100 feet, correct?
Yes.
So the average home, the depth of a third-acre property, which is most homes in Milltown, would be about 75 feet, give or take, I believe.
I think typical lot depths are about 100 feet. So
Are they about 100? So
Yeah,
that would be a
usually.
20-foot drop over someone's backyard, or from their front yard to their back.
Right, if it was over that, but you could have a steeper section over a narrower run.
Right.
So it's, yeah.
Well, I appreciate that. I think this was a very elegant solution to address especially those resident concerns, so thank you.
You're welcome.
So do you know how many units are going on the third floor versus the fourth floor?
Nothing's been designed, nothing's been presented. This is all just setting rules in place where if somebody wants to develop that site, they could come in based on these parameters with a project that would then have to be vetted by the planning board. So it's all hypothetical.
I just think it'd be irresponsible for me to bring more children into this school system until we get adjusted.
It's not guaranteed that that site would be a residential development.
Well, it's not guaranteed, but
it will be
is
available
likely
for
that it
residential,
would
right?
be. Sorry?
It will be available for residential.
Yes,
Under the plan that's presented in front of us today.
yes.
Our plan encourages mixed use, correct?
Right, it would be required to have a commercial component on the ground floor to contribute to South Main Street, but any development would likely have a mix of residential and commercial.
Yeah.
So would you rather have an empty lot, or would you rather have it developed? Is that your concern, John, to leave it empty?
Well, I feel it'd be irresponsible to bring more children into the school system if we go to fourth floors.
Are you anti-children, John?
No, that was the concerns of the residents. I mean, if you listen to the planning board here, but I guess the planning board doesn't listen to the residents anyway, so it was
What?
obvious.
But,
Planning
so,
board meetings are made public, John, so, and I do announce the planning board meetings at each meeting, so the public does come to meetings and they do.
And they voice their concerns.
But at the planning board meeting, I didn't hear anything brought up about children.
Oh, I remember when you guys approved the Acme thing and people said you
That's a
can't.
different,
Exactly.
that's a totally different
But they
project,
did
John.
express concerns.
But it's a different project, John, we're not talking about that. We're talking
That's
about-
correct. But they did express concerns about that, our school system.
Well, let's back up a second. The Acme location was part of the redevelopment overlay zones. And that resulted in significant, excuse me, if I may.
Well, just so we can be correct, it's not a redevelopment site, so you said redevelopment, I just wanted to make sure, I think you meant to say affordable housing.
Part of the affordable housing overlay zones, correct.
We
That
use-
resulted from the Ford Avenue litigation. And,
No, that's not correct. It
Oh, really?
resulted from an obligation of the borough to comply with its third round affordable housing obligation.
which was all reared its head as a result of Ford Avenue. But we
No, it's
can
a result
agree
of the affordable
to
housing
disagree
obligation
on
of the
that.
state of New
because
Jersey.
I was on council at the time. But nonetheless,
Okay.
what the result was was a bunch of residents that came down and were significantly concerned over not only the impact to school, which I know we cannot deny development as a result of the impact to school, but the density of development over there. And when they realized that this was all a result of the affordable housing obligations, you know, it was kind of like, well, we were forced to approve it. And here, we have an opportunity to avoid that. So I'm concerned about having a site that is at the same density, development density, as some of the overlay zones, right in the middle of town, when we've heard from the residents already that they don't want that.
Exactly.
And if we look further into these slopes, I wonder how much they really could do. Now that the property owner in that particular site has demolished the buildings right before January 1st to avoid paying property tax on the structures, and has left the site as a rubble pile, and it seems now we're looking to reward them for it. And for that reason, if we can't come to an agreement tonight, I will say that as the discussion stands, I am a no vote on this for that reason. I would make a motion to table it until we could find some further information out on that particular site.
We've had this plan
This
in
is
hand
actually, this is
for
the second,
months.
or this is the second.
So
meeting.
no, I don't endorse tabling something that we've had an opportunity for months to provide feedback on. Read it, speak to our planner, bring it up at a council meeting.
This is a council meeting.
This,
Prior to this
Won't be here
vote,
long.
you've had plenty of,
It was only introduced at the previous council meeting.
this is the second.
we have had an
reading.
opportunity to read this since August?
Yeah.
Yes?
And I have the same concerns then as I do now.
But you didn't express them clearly.
But was
You're
was
choosing
Councilman
to express
Revelinsky at the
them
last
now
council
and
meeting?
trying to table this.
No, it was not. I abstained earlier. You heard
All right.
that.
All right.
Any other discussion? Okay, will the clerk, I need a motion and a second to approve.
I make a motion that we approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilwoman O'Donnell, second by Council President Zambrana. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Council President Zambrana.
Aye.
Councilman Collins.
No.
Can't hear you, John.
Councilwoman O'Donnell.
Better go to the doctor and get a hearing aid.
Excuse me.
I'm not that old yet, John.
Aye.
Councilman Peretti.
Aye.
Councilman Potter.
Aye.
Councilman Revelinsky.
No.
So moved. Thank you. Does any member of the council have any old business to bring before the council this evening? Hearing none, we'll move on to new business. Does any member of the council have any new business to bring before the council this evening? Hearing none, we'll close new business and move on to audience comments. The public comment portion of our meeting is to allow the public to bring to the council's attention their concerns or comments. The council will respect the public's time by refraining from any comment until the speaker has finished. It should be further noted that the public comment portion of our meeting is not structured as a question and answer session. Please state your name and address for the record when you come to the podium. Alan, yes.
Good evening, Alan Godber for Fern Place. Just want to correct something I think I heard Councilman Collins say, that we didn't hold that bike ride, when in fact we did hold the bike ride on the last Sunday of October, and Michael Shikajan, who was leading it, thought it was very successful. It did rain a little bit.
Of course.
Revised it twice to try and avoid the rain. Fortunately, it was only a little bit at the beginning of the ride, and the riders all succeeded in cycling safely without falling off, which was good. So it's a 26-mile bike ride, rides the whole of the Lawrence Brook watershed, basically. And they all said they had a good time at the end of it. So I guess, thank goodness, we did have a good event. I think I heard mentioned, yes, that we've got a meeting coming up. The first meeting in person of the Lawrence Brook Watershed Partnership since April of 2020.
Really? Wow.
So 3.5 years
Congratulations.
since we've had an in-person meeting.
Good.
And this is going to be a week tomorrow, the 21st. And we normally used to meet at the senior centre at 7:30 p.m, but they've decided to move it half an hour earlier. That probably will stay that way in future, but we're going to be starting at 7 p.m. And the speaker is a Milltown resident, Mrs. Vivian Morris, and she's a master gardener and a rain garden expert, so she's going to be talking about stormwater management for homeowners. And we'd like to invite you all to come and attend. I think it'll be kind of a fun evening. She's pretty good. I've heard her speak before. And so please come join us. That's a week tomorrow, 7 p.m. 21st. We do have a meeting set up for December, but I'll give you the details about that later. One other matter I'd like to raise, if I might, which is something I've noticed from time to time. This is to do with lights shining from people's houses into the street. I looked up the regulations, and as far as I can see, it says quite clearly that everybody's entitled to have lights on their property, but the light must stay within the property. So in other words, you can have a light on your house, various parts around your house, but it must not be a focus light which is focusing into the street, because obviously that puts people at risk, drivers at risk, if you're seeing a bright light shining at you. And I know I've seen at least 3 or 4 places around town where this is not so. People have got bright lights shining from their house, which is magnified, and it's shining directly towards the street. And as far as I can see, that is illegal. So I'd like to see if we could have somebody in town just look at these things. I'd be happy to help point it out to the experts.
So, you know, on the website, we have reported concern. You know, you go on and you report it. So if you see the address.
I'd be happy to do that.
That would help to point that, where they are, right?
Okay.
Okay.
Be happy to do that. And anybody else sees anything like that,
That would
I
be
think
great.
we should discourage that.
Thank
Thank you.
Anyone else? Hey.
Good evening, George Murray, Fort Brook Drive. Couple questions, and I don't know who to direct it to, Councilwoman O'Donnell or Councilman Potter, because they both answered the question. For PSE&G, is the paving going to be done as well, the milling and paving on?
Not this year. That'll be done in the spring.
Okay. And also, if you could just let them know, there's a lot of crosswalks and where the stop signs are, a lot of them aren't even done where they did pave, so I don't know.
So again, like we said in previous meetings, put it in as a reported concern, because then it can help Ralph track that, because he's tracking all that, working with PSE&G and all that. So if we do notice that, please, residents, put in a reported concern so it's on the list so it doesn't get missed.
Okay, thank you. And I would like,
Let it sit and cure a little bit first, and then the cold weather will affect it, so that it's not going to be till the spring where they do the full paving. But they can do the other spot.
right, but the painting they can do right away.
Yeah.
And I would like to thank all our veterans from Veterans Day for their service. And also, I would like to thank all the residents, because it was Election Day, for taking the time to come out and vote for everyone that participated. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
Hello, Randy Ruth, 88 Clay Street. Up here again to pretty much just voice some of my concerns about things that I've heard, about even the discussions about the South Main Street Rehabilitation Plan, which was passed, thankfully. And one of my biggest things is I've heard a lot of things about bringing in people into Middletown, specifically bringing in bodies into town to utilize our resources. And I really think having more people here and shops and businesses to help facilitate that growth and dynamic culture and ultimately people enjoying their community, being active, being lively is really important. So hopefully this plan comes to fruition. We see things in the next couple years where there's things that come before the planning board and then the borough council, and that we can vote on this, or the borough council can vote on it and approve some things that are really beneficial to all the residents in the community, and including those outside of the community who travel through here. They should stop to check out that new shop because that's what's there, or maybe they decide to move from East Brunswick and move to Milltown. And, if it brings a couple couple children, well, then that's fine. People are free to live where they live. The town should be growing, not shrinking, and I think that all of this is really positive. So those are all my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Randy. Anyone else? Yes.
Good evening. Gary Poznanski, 31 Cleveland Avenue. I'd just like to express my heartfelt gratitude to everyone who voted for me. I'm humbled and honored by the number of votes that I received. Once the results of the election have been finalized, I hope to stand before you at the next council meeting. And again, thank you as your duly elected council person. And for all of you who sit before me, you have my respect and admiration. I understand your personal sacrifices as neighbors, selflessly serving your community, and I thank you.
Thank you.
Sure, you're welcome.
Yes, sir.
Evening. Lee Weisenberger, 99 JFK Drive. I'd just like to get some follow-up answers from questions been asked recently, and a couple to CME. Mike was supposed to check on the cost of the dredging project in Spotswood and the funding from the county. I don't know if you know anything about it, Lou?
I don't.
Okay,
Well, I'll check with
He'll be at the next meeting.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. And once again, if CME might know something about the gas line on Coulthaw, whether they contacted the county or PS&G over that line about moving it.
About what?
Moving it, I believe, as a follow-up because it's holding up the culvert, the bridge.
Coulthall or you?
Oh, Mike, yeah, Mike,
Oh,
Mike,
Coulthall?
Mike was
Coulthall
talking about
and
that
Fresh
one
Pond.
time, Lou. You might want to just jot that down, too.
Yeah, I don't think the plan was to move the gas line. I think it was to identify the location. They couldn't be precise enough with the location to allow construction to take place there. And I think that's what the plan was. I don't think that it included moving it.
That might be part of the problem, because the way it sounded like that it was too close to the bridge and widening it would be a problem.
I don't think they could precisely locate it for some reason. I don't know that they confirmed that it was too close to it. I think they were vague about its exact proximity.
Right, well, either way, we can get a follow-up to it.
Luke, doesn't the BPU have requirements that if you call in for a markout, you have to have your markouts within so many inches of an existing utility, whether it's a pressurized utility like gas, water, or buried electric? I mean, so I don't understand how Transco or whoever owns that pipeline can say, we've got a 42-inch pipe that cuts through your town. We just don't know where it is.
Yeah, I don't know the details of, I know there was the county was moving forward with the project, the gas company objected because of their line, and I believe that's where it all got hung up, but the exact details I'm not sure of.
Along that line, kind of, Milltown's old gas tanks, are we done with the monitoring of those tanks?
We are.
We are, okay, that's good. We'll move to a little article I came across now. I don't know how many people are aware of this. Fresh Pond Road, Freed Industries,
Yes.
right, the contamination?
Yeah, they're removing additional contaminated soil.
Yeah, but it's an
That-
interesting story too when you read it, because they were given a green light, and now they're removing 8,000 cubic yards more of sediment. And that worries me now with Ford Avenue. And I don't know, is Ford Avenue still being monitored, wells, or anything, by EPA or anybody?
Good question.
You know, because I see this and I see the money being spent now. And that property was turned over to East Brunswick in 1989. And it's a big headache again.
Well, they put in the remediation wells over there in the ground filtration system, and they deemed it clean. So
Yeah.
it's scary that they deemed it clean, and now they're saying it's not. And what impact any of that construction activity may have
The
downstream.
ongoing monitoring identified something, and that's the purpose of having ongoing monitoring, from what I
Because
understand.
I'm just concerned, that, like I said, in the future with Ford Avenue, whatever happens, is, are we gonna be, somebody's gonna be re-drilling wells to get a green light on that? How's that work? I don't know. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Lee.
Thank you. Yes.
Frank Manco, 21 Durst Drive. I would like to thank Middletown for their turnout in the election, and I hope that can serve admirably. One thing was kind of came across in a few people that I spoke to in the town who were looking to open businesses, and there are three respective, I believe they're owned by the same people, but there are 3 liquor licenses that are currently generating no revenue for the town. And they've sat dormant with what seems to be no future plan or no permits pulled for the use of. From where I sit, it seems like those are kind of a resource for monetary income to the town that's not being used. And I was wondering if there's any way that the owners can be, fair market value, of course, not taken from them, but they should be able to give them back to the community if they're not using them.
So that's a state ABC, so Monica can
I
answer
mean,
that question.
I could jump in a little bit. We don't make money off of liquor licenses other than for the renewal, and those renewal fees are still being paid for those 3 liquor licenses, or they were for the past couple of years.
I'm wanting to cultivate business and, restaurants, the actual action that happens from a liquor license
Well,
being
two-
actively used.
2 of those licenses are in pocket, and as long as that person keeps paying the fees and everything else, they can keep them as inactive in pocket, as long as we can't go in and steal it from them.
Oh, no, of course not. I mean,
You don't
That's
have a way
something
to
you'd have to
compel them,
contact the
There's no way to compel them?
I understand your concern, and
Yeah.
I think everybody would like to have as many active businesses as we can, but unfortunately, as the municipality, there's no mechanism for the borough to step in and say, you need to activate your license. It's a state ABC regulation, and as long as they're doing the things they need to do, if they don't want to generate any money from that asset they have, they can choose not to.
And the state has the ultimate jurisdiction over their licenses. So maybe you can contact them and see what they have to say, but ultimately they are the ones, and both retail and consumption licenses are population-based in our town. So unless there was a significant population growth, we're limited to how many we can have.
And that's why I
as
wonder,
actual
like,
licenses.
it almost seems like an unfair business practice to hold them, it just seems dampening. It just,
It would be nice to be able to utilize those licenses, but that's, again, ultimately up to the state and the ABC board.
Thank you.
No problem.
Anyone else? Seeing none, I will close audience comments and move on to council comments. Anything further that anyone on the council would like to bring up this evening?
I had 2 items, Madam Mayor. One was I'd echo some remarks that were made wishing the veterans of Milltown a happy belated Veterans Day. We have policies here in town to offer, I think it's called a tax credit, definitely is $250 off. Deduction, tax deduction for any veteran, but we also have special programs for fully disabled veterans to have their taxes generously waived. Is waive the right term? Waived. So as an additional thank you for your service, please pursue those options for our Milltown-based veterans. And I also wanted to mention that I will be attending the League of Municipalities convention and looking for vendors and sessions and opportunities to get to know elected officials and government officials from other communities to bring fantastic things back to Milltown. It's been a great experience the past 2 years attending the conference, so I'm sure that I will bring back additional items to benefit Milltown.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, we wish everyone that's going down to Atlantic City this week well. I hope they have a good time and learn a lot. Anyone else have any comments this evening?
No, I just want to thank Alan Godbar for correcting me on that place, too. Thanks, Alan.
Anyone else?
And Madam Mayor, just like to wish all of our residents a happy, healthy, and safe Thanksgiving.
Yes. And congratulations to Courtney Potter Disney.
Thank you.
Dave's daughter
Thank
got
you.
married yesterday.
Thank
So,
you. They're off They're off to their honeymoon as we speak.
That's great. Congratulations.
You know, I'd also like to wish the residents a happy Thanksgiving also. Thank you.
All right, so with that, we will close council comments and go to mayor comments. I will say the same thing, happy Thanksgiving, enjoy your holidays, and we will be back here 2 weeks from tonight on the 27th. So thank you. We'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, good night, everyone. Thanks.
Are you going to?